You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
7 for tomorrow and Saturday. The sky's sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into Thursday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to get in on the show. Download the app, the Tide 100.9 app. You can send an app message to us during the show, or you can send it to us anytime. But right there at the app messages, you can send those. You can listen to all the shows, listen to any of the deals that go on at, like last night, they had Hey Coach, which will start next Wednesday with Coach DeBoer. So download the app, get it on your smartphone. All the articles and all will come right there, and it'll give you even a little notice when things do break and things do happen. We want to thank Yellowwood pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. The weather's getting pretty nice out there this morning, and so it's getting time where you're going to want to spend time in your backyard. You want to build the 5-star backyard, the fence, the deck, the pergola, whatever you want. You want it to last, and pressure-treated pine from Great Southern is obviously the best. And always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. It's an exciting day for us here. JC, we always love having JC on. Then Coach Barry Switzer will join us in the second hour. And then right before the show's out, Dad will do his first exhibition, week 0 blue plate special. So we'll get that tweeted out. That always makes for a fun weekend to watch the game and pull for him to see if he gets it right. And I know it's been a fun tradition that we've done here for about 8 years. And hopefully we'll have a great record this year. And that's brought to you by the Chuck Norwood and the RE/MAX Realty team. Go to chucknorwood.com. You're looking to buy or sell down in the Orange Beach, Gulf Shores area. Then Chuck Norwood, the Chuck Norwood team is your guy. I know Chuck is excited about the Blue Plate special coming out later on today. Good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
Okay, a little bit lost, but okay. Phillies beat the Braves 3-2. Head coach at Iowa is being suspended for the opening game. I think it's against Duke for violations in recruiting quarterback. I don't know. They put an overrated, underrated deal on television. Oklahoma, LSU, Missouri, Ole Miss, and Auburn were the overrated teams. I don't know, underrated teams. I'm not going to go to those, but those are the overrated teams. I'm not sure about that. Oklahoma got a 5-star. Coach Saban was asked the other day about his favorite teams. He tried to make sure that they weren't his favorite, but they were probably his favorite. 2005 team at LSU won the national championship and then went over Texas in 2010. Bo Nix is going to be the starting quarterback at Denver. Let's see, the best NIL basketball teams that get the most for NIL, Alabama was included in the top 10. Arkansas, Kentucky, Alabama were in the top 10. I'm not going to read all of the tie-breaking rules for you. That's silly in football when it comes down to it, because we'll argue. We'll go through it when it happens. I'll just give you the first two. Of course, with the head-to-head competition between the two teams, the two football teams tied. The record versus all common conference opponents among the tied teams. So those are the first two. We'll leave it at that. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 5 of them, and then there's going to be a random draw for the tied teams. Which I don't think it'll come down to that, but that's where we are. So we do have a pretty good show today, I think, and still trying to be sure that I picked the right one because the deal's not quite as easy as people think. Anyway, that's it for me. I didn't really have a chance to get as much as I needed to today. Things came up, but that's what we got.
Yeah, on a podcast, and I told y'all Steve Spurrier does not prepare for anything. He did pick Alabama to win the SEC, and he called Kalen DeBoer Jalen DeBoer, and then talked about the Alabama-Texas game, and Alabama doesn't even play Texas. How hard is it to look at the schedule and know who these guys play? I know you told me he was speaking up in North Alabama, but he's a guy that just kind of talks, and then but unfortunately when he talks, it makes headlines and news, and he doesn't keep up with anything. Calling the guy Jalen DeBoer and talking about him playing Texas, whatever. So I thought that was funny. But in the AL.com today, they've got the final offensive predictions for the depth chart. Dad, what was your philosophy on starting a freshman? Alabama, I don't know if this depth chart's right. We've heard so much about the kid from Saraland, Ryan Williams. This has their starters being Jeremy Bernard, Kendrick Law, and Kobe Prentice. It says no Williams and start a lot. Maybe not for the season opener, considering the experience options Alabama has in Bernard, Law, and Prentice. Did you want a freshman to kind of earn it in the game, put them right there? Maybe second string, they're going to be maybe the first sub in there, and then when they perform, earn it? Or would you start freshmen like just right off the bat?
When the very beginning, I went to Alabama. Of course, I wasn't a coach, but in the very beginning, we had freshman teams.
Yeah.
So when that transpired, when that died out, and the freshmen came in and were eligible, it was a huge deal, Barry, among the media. They made a big deal out of it because, of course, we had freshman teams prior to that, and the freshman teams, no freshman, of course, could play on the varsity. So that was my thought was that if I had somebody that's an upperclassman that had been with me a long time and was, trying to play but had not started, I might start him. But if I had a great freshman, I'd probably start him.
But if it was close, wouldn't you go with the guy that'd been there a year or two?
Yeah, I would. That's what I'll say. If I had a guy on my team that had been there for a long time and had done a good job for us, but just wasn't quite there yet. But that's what I would do. I'd start him. But if I didn't, I can't remember what I did with Bobby Lee Hurt, and I can't remember what I did with Enos Watt. I can't remember.
Did you ever? This used to happen. I think this happened when Coach Bryant. I think Coach Bryant coached Lenny Patrick. Somebody called, Tom would know, but he guaranteed him if he came to Alabama, he'd get the first carry of the season.
That's right. That was in Jasper, and it was a big dogfight for him. And Coach Bryant had a lot of alums in Jasper with a lot of money, and I think it was Lenny Patrick. I believe.
Yeah, Lenny Patrick. Yeah.
That.
But I'm saying he guaranteed if you come to Alabama, Chase, you won't remember this. You weren't obviously. Chase don't even know who Barry Switzer is. If you come, and I'm just teasing you. If you come to Alabama, the first play of your freshman year, you're going to carry the ball.
That's right.
Did you ever guarantee a guy? I tell you what, if you come, I'll start you.
Here's the way I put it with Bobby Lee and them. I'll tell you one thing. If you come in here and play well, you've got a good chance to start. We'll see what happens. I left in his mind that he could start, but I also left in his mind if he played the way we wanted him to as a staff in practice, that he would have that opportunity. That's the way I did it.
Yeah, now they say if you come, we're going to give you $800,000 NIL money.
Yeah, that's right. The NIL is, you don't care
instead
about
of starting and carrying it on the first play, or you're going to get to shoot. We're going to give you X number of dollars.
Well, most of our listeners don't really know or don't think about not having freshman teams. They just don't. When I talk about freshman teams, it's of no interest to people that listen to our show, so I don't do it much. But once that year, and I can't even remember what it was when freshmen, but were eligible to play and start, it was a huge deal in the media.
You know, when we would recruit guys that were far away, Chase, you know, the real problem was how were they going to get back and forth from home? So you might say, I tell you what, we'll make sure you get a job or whatever where you get enough money, get you a couple plane tickets back and forth. Now they just say, hey, we'll fly you back and forth.
If you could read this, these 2-page letter that this person wrote on me against me when I was recruiting Bobby Lee Hurt and trying to keep us getting him. I guess I don't know who else. I think they were for UAB maybe, but I've never read such a letter. And it's the first time ever that Alabama basketball had been involved. It had been put in pretty good headlines. I have it on my wall. You'll keep it one of these days in Sports Illustrated with Bobby Lee, and it was you know, people that a guy that was really trying to mail us, and this letter would take too long. People might go to sleep, but it's I don't probably the Alabama fans would like it. So
yeah. Well, nowadays it's times have changed. Coach, I mean, you get back and forth from home. What kind of car you want? We'll get you that car or plane ticket. That ain't nothing. So that kind of stuff you had to kind of figure out in recruiting. At least that they don't have to worry about that anymore now. That plane ticket, that ain't no problem for these guys anymore. What they're getting,
but it would have been, you know, it could have been years ago, but certainly not now.
Yeah, now you sign these guys from California. They know they can get back. Now having the time and to go back and forth, they won't be going back and forth, obviously, here this first semester. 2-minute truck, they're out at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go, guys, if you're going to pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth move. Where it's local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. If you just need stuff moved in the house, they can handle that for you as well. Whatever you need, they're there to help you. Give them a call today for the free estimates, 205-247-5050. That is 2 men in a truck. Movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. Before Vice President Kamala Harris accepts the Democratic presidential nomination tonight, Alabama's 2nd Congressional District Democrat nominee Shamari Figures will address the Democratic convention in Chicago at 7 p.m. Figures says he will have a unifying message that will also highlight the history of the 2nd District. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have long-term road construction, 15th Street at 2nd Avenue. Also, road work, right lane is blocked, Greensboro Avenue southbound at 26th Street. And we have some bridge work going on, 59 westbound between McFarland Boulevard and Western Bypass.
Coach's Huddle is your insight into your local prep sports program and is brought to you by Venue Tuscaloosa, Arkley GMC, and Legend Energy Drinks.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
Labor Day savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid August 22nd through September 11th. U.S. only. See store online for details. America's most reliable line of appliances per independent study.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The chance of a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will stay dry. The high today 88. The low tonight 67. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Stay up to date with the Crimson Tide.
Local high school sports and Bama in the pros right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I was just looking back at our X account so last year, going into the bowl season, you were 10-4 going into the bowl in your blue plate special. 10-4 is pretty darn good. So, and I'll show you how we Chase, because people start texting me, what's the blue plate? What's the blue plate? I'm like, guys, we put it out on Twitter. Just look, or X, whatever you call it. So Yellowwood pressure treated pine from Great. So hopefully we'll be 1-0. Either going to be 1-0 or 0-0 after Saturday. So I'm giving him a free deal there. Yellowwood pressure treated pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, then believe me, you don't want it. To the Yellowwood hotline, get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hope y'all are good today.
Good.
Okay.
Hey, I thought Courtney Morgan was pretty good last night on Hey Coach. I enjoyed listening to him. He's a very smart guy, very knowledgeable. Sounded very knowledgeable about the state of Alabama to me. He knew where little towns were and where things were, and knew who people were. I was pretty impressed with him, and a good guy to listen to.
What did he? I didn't hear it. What did he? And just give us a quick synopsis of what he said.
Well, Chris was the host, of course, and it was just a real good, positive interview. He sort of is a guy that is. I didn't find him overly detailed, but you can tell that he is intense and that he's got a strategy, and that he's pretty relentless in recruiting. And I'm glad he stayed at Alabama. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. I thought I heard somewhere he was offered, and I may be wrong, but it was like $1 million to go to USC. So I'm sure Greg Byrne and them got together and said, look, if we give this guy $825, that's going to go a lot further than $1 million out in Los Angeles, California. I don't know if that happened, but when you've been on a job, how many jobs can you be on the job for 6 months and get a $325,000 raise? That's only in college football does that happen, or pro sports, Philip.
Well, that's right, but I think it was a how can I term this without upsetting like that? I think it was
money well spent. Is what
it was money well spent in an emergency situation. Can I put it to you that way?
Yes.
I think it was pretty close. Yeah. But the one thing I did want to talk about was, and Wimp mentioned it in his opening remarks, was about the SEC tiebreaker. That is probably going to come into effect this year.
Yeah. Probably. Of course, any tiebreaker first is head to head. And I briefly looked at it, but obviously it'll work itself out when you get down there. But they did release that out yesterday.
That's going to be it's head to head competition between the tied teams, and then record versus all common conference opponents among the tied teams.
Yeah.
Now, I was looking at the schedule just really quickly while I was on hold, and it appears, I could be wrong somewhat, but it does appear that everybody has 3 common opponents.
I would. I'll take your word on it. I hadn't looked at that.
Yeah, I based off Alabama and the teams that we play, and I just would take a couple of teams and look at their overall schedule. It does appear that everybody has 3 conference opponents.
Okay.
So, and that's going to be a really interesting thing. And with that in mind, if a tiebreaker occurs, you could have a couple of teams get knocked out of playoff contention because of that.
Yeah, you would think the 2 teams that make it to Atlanta would have the advantage over the third team, although that didn't happen one year. Alabama sat at home, didn't go to the SEC championship same game and still got into the Final Four. But with this format, you would feel like the top 2 would have the advantage over the team left out in the tiebreaker for sure.
Right. So it sort of makes me change my mind on how many teams from the SEC could get into the playoffs because that tiebreaker is going to be critical, although I am sure that the other leagues will probably have tiebreakers as well.
Yeah, no doubt. How many you say is getting in? SEC.
Well, back in May when I made my 2 early predictions, which I'm sticking to, I went with 4 teams.
There you go. I think it'd be close. Probably will happen. Thank you, Philip.
Thank y'all.
All right, back up to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Morning. Hey, Barry. Good morning, Coach. How are y'all this morning?
We're good.
I was listening to you talk about players in this era and, money to go home on or whatever, this, that, and the other, where, used to, it wasn't like that. You couldn't make that public, or I don't think. And but now, you got more leeway into, let's say, benefits that you can provide.
Yeah.
And I was wondering this. What if a kid from California says, well, look, I want somebody to help my mother come to the game. What can you do for me and my mother and maybe my brother, helping them come? How does that work? Is that part of it, you think?
Well, in the past, was nothing you could do. That's why, it was so hard to get guys from so far away. Now, I'm sure they can't pay for the mother and brother to fly in, but they can set up an NIL deal for the kid that make enough money to pay for them to do it. So that's how they do it now.
Okay, but the school can't directly say, look, we're going to take care of your family, bring them in, here's the tickets, all that kind of stuff.
No, only before they're on official visit, they can fly them in.
Right.
And they can, give them mileage if they drive. They can put them in a hotel, feed them and all that for 48 hours. You can.
But that's a recruiting.
Yeah, that's a recruiting. No, you cannot do that.
Not as a player.
Now, when they get to the final 12, if they do that, I think there is a stipend that they can get for the parents to get a little money to be able to go to the NCAA Final Four. Or maybe, I don't know about the football.
Well, that was going to be my next question. I've always read where Alabama says when they go to the playoffs in the previous format, where it would be 2 games if you won, right? And they always show pictures on Instagram of having 2 757 Boeings sitting out there chartered. And, if you took everybody in the athletic department, you could get them on one. But they got 2.
Yeah, you got to take the band and the cheerleaders and all those people.
Well, the band don't go on those charters. They had a hard time coming up with the money a couple of years ago for a charter wherever it was. I can't remember, but this was like, it looked like to me, the pictures and the videos and everything, it was like parents and girlfriends and wives and just a whole entourage of not band and stuff. Am I right or wrong there?
I don't think it would be the players' parents. Now, maybe it may be families of the coaches. And I thought,
hey, no wonder they lose money.
No, they can't. They're not flying the players' parents like that. They can give them a stipend. There's a stipend they can give them, I think, but they're not flying them on those planes. Now, they can take the athletic department. They could take their families, let the coaches take their kids. What I'm looking at. Yeah. So, but it's expensive. It's expensive. That's to move these teams.
They say they absolutely lose money on postseason games every time, and I thought, well, no darn wonder.
Well, I mean, those teams get out there about 5 days before the game, and think about when you're staying at the five-star hotel, every time you have a meal in there for those football players, it's probably $80 a plate. Those buffets and all that. Yeah. So,
but it's unbelievable. It's just I'm thinking about college football. You remember a few years ago the tech industry out in California and all that place out there. It was just crazy awash with money. They were paying people, crazy salaries and everything going on. It was just wild how much money was involved with all those companies out there involved with the technology. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now it's almost like college football, especially in the Southeastern Conference, is the same way. It's just money awash everywhere, and they spending and everything. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that, that's the way it appears to me. I don't think they're spending like a drunken sailor. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there's a lot available of money, meaning a lot of money available.
Yeah, Dad, I wouldn't even think that Greg Byrne even blinked when Kalen DeBoer walked in and said, hey, we're going to have to raise Courtney Morgan from 500. We got to get him close to $1 million. That's what he's being offered. But we've got all these kids coming from the West Coast that he's tied to. We got to keep him. I don't think either one of them, even, how much, what's it going to cost? They don't even worry about that, do they, Dad? I mean, they worry about it, but it was never a question as to whether they were going to do it.
No, I just think they both got together. Greg didn't just give him a figure. They both got together and decided what they could offer, from what I understand. And when I had it that way, hopefully that was going to be enough. That living in California is ridiculous. So I think once they convinced him of that, if they had to convince him, I just think that I don't know who his wife and family were behind it or anything at all. But I would say they got together on it.
If you're good, Tom, it's good to be wanted because then the people that have you want to keep.
Hey, if you got something you're going to bring to the table and they can see it's going to be a value added type situation, you're riding a big horse. But I was going to say this. I think Coach is right too. My observation of Los Angeles in that area, $1 million ain't that much. And just to own a car and insurance and to commute, oh my God! And I don't know how all that works, but it looks like to me when I've been out there and talked to people that live there, $1 million just ain't gonna go very far, And but on the other hand, I wanted to. Will you ask JC one question when he comes on?
Sure.
Will you ask him what his evaluation of Oklahoma's roster is this year going into the season, see what he's got to say, if anything?
I'll ask you. We'll get him on right now. Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll get to break here and get JC. Listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have long-term road construction, 15th Street at 2nd Avenue. Also, road work, right lane is blocked, Greensboro Avenue southbound at 26th Street. And we have some bridge work going on, 59 westbound between McFarland Boulevard and Western Bypass. Also, drinking tonight.
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry. Only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room, 205-342-9904. But get right to the Yellowwood Hotline, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. He's the owner of thebigspur.com, has several podcasts. JC joins us. JC, the Blue Plate Special is coming out today. So a lot of pressure on them. But I'm giving him a free week. It's week 0. I'm letting this be his exhibition. But if he wins, I'm going to let him count the wins. That's a pretty good deal for him, but he's still stressed out over it, JC.
I understand the pressure. I mean, it's
the whole
the Blue Plate Special is the gold standard in the South of picks each week.
Yeah.
And it's hard to maintain momentum. I mean, you can ask Clemson football about that. It's when you're on top, it gets even more pressure filled. So, I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, so he may throw if he asks you about some off-the-wall game, he's picking your brain here every Thursday as we go through this thing. So, Dad, what you got for JC this morning?
Well, I don't have a whole lot because everything's much tied up, JC. It was kind of interesting to me. They had some of the overrated teams listed by the writers in the SEC, and Ole Miss came down as one of them, and that was a little bit interesting to me. They had overrated and underrated. They had Missouri on both sides of the line. I don't know why they do that. But
can't lose that way.
No, that way. But Ole Miss was on the overrated. They've got a lot of people back. They got the defensive coordinator, I think, back. They got the head coach back. They got the quarterback back. That's the three things you look at. Are they overrated?
I don't think so. I mean, now listen. I think they got some things to prove. Last year they were not a very good team on the road. Last year they had some close calls against teams that they could have lost to. I mean, they weren't dominant. I think probably their best game was in the bowl game. And you know how bowl games are. I think the hype around Ole Miss is they're loaded at wide receiver. You've got a great play caller in Lane Kiffin and his offensive coordinator. Pete Golding is their D coordinator, and he's well thought of, but they need to play better defense. That's why they didn't win on the road last year. You take your defense on the road, they've got a lot of name guys they got out of the portal, the D lineman from Florida, the big D tackle from Texas A&M, who's really, I think, elite. The hope is they improve the run defense, pass rush. Losing Judkins at running back, I don't think is going to kill them. I think they've got backs. They got a kid that was at South Carolina actually out of the portal, not Juice Wells, but a guy named Rashad Amos, who rushed for 1,000 yards at Miami of Ohio last year. He's a really, really good back. And he's big, 6'2", 220. I think they'll be able to run the football, but, as a program, where they've got to go is they got to start winning on the road. And they are going to Wake Forest early. I don't know that that's going to put up much resistance. And then they go to South Carolina the first weekend of October. That is a tough place to play, and it's likely a night game. You get past that, you start rolling with your other meat of your schedule. I think that they will go into I don't think they're overrated right now. I think they're rated about right, given what they look like on paper. And I think it's hilarious. I mean, they're running out of things to write about. If you're calling Ole Miss overrated right now, you're and Missouri's on both. I mean, you're running out of things to write about. The season can't start fast enough for those guys. But I think that I would put them in the have a little bit to prove category. I mean, Lane Kiffin has won big there. 2 New Year's, 6 bowls. Hugh Freeze did a good job there as well. But this is sort of an unprecedented, starting with Hugh Freeze about 10 years ago. This has been a very successful, by comparison to history, Ole Miss run here lately. And I think the next step's winning on the road, getting the playoff, meeting expectations. And, I'm not saying they won't, but I need to see a few things, before I go ahead and anoint them.
I think Johnny Vaught was the coach when I was growing up. When I first went to Alabama, he's a big buddy of Coach Bryant. I think that's right.
Yeah.
JC, and I don't know who that is.
Ole Miss is actually the last team outside of the quote-unquote Big Six, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, LSU, to win the SEC. And that was in 1963, I think, and Johnny Vaught was the coach there.
We had a caller want me to ask you about Oklahoma, what you know about Oklahoma. They gave Coach Venables a new contract.
Switcher's going to tell us, Barry.
Yeah, we got Barry Switzer on today. He won't even know who the quarterback is at Oklahoma.
You really won't.
He lives right there by the stadium, JC, and he's got a house behind it that is an Airbnb. Can you imagine renting that thing for the game? Hang out with Coach Switzer in the backyard and have a couple cocktails and talk football. But what do you know about Oklahoma? Tough schedule coming in. They didn't treat them like Texas coming in. Tell us about the Sooners and everything you know.
I don't have high expectations.
Okay.
I think they have really good players in a lot of positions. They are Oklahoma. That matters. But here's the difference between when A&M and Missouri came in and they snuck up on people. A&M in the first year, then Missouri the next 2 years, won the East. And everybody's like, oh, the Big 12, So you assume, well, Texas and Oklahoma, that's better than Missouri and A&M, so they're going to be just fine. Not so fast, my friend. Playing Oklahoma and Texas as one of the top 5 teams, in the history of college football, top 5 programs, they're circled on everybody's schedule already. And this is the SEC. I mean, I don't think Missouri was a big game for everybody when they came in. I don't really think A&M was either. But these two are.
Yeah.
So you're going to get best shots every week. The schedule is brutal. Everybody just assumes they lost 5 offensive linemen last year. They're going from a non-line of scrimmage league into a line of scrimmage league. And everybody just assumes, because they got some guys out of the portal, that they're going to be just fine. Because, oh, by the way, we got a first-time starting quarterback at Jackson Arnold. He was a 5-star, you know. And I think the passing game will be just fine. I watched that offensive line. I think their defense, I thought last year was a year away. I think Brent's recruited really well on defense. I think they'll be competitive defensively. But you don't see Oklahoma going up and down the field like they did in the Big 12. I know a coach on the staff in the Big 12 that also coached in the SEC that went to Norman, and they faced Oklahoma last year. And he said they're not ready. He said they're not ready to go in the SEC at all. And his team almost beat them. So I'm taking that piece of feedback. I'm looking at it on paper, looking at the fact it's a line of scrimmage league and the defensive line, maybe a patchwork offensive line, a lot of newcomers are going to face in this league. And I just don't have a lot of confidence. Maybe I'm wrong. I was wrong about Missouri and A&M. But I think if you're looking for somebody to go, wow, reality hits you in the face pretty quick in this league, I think it's the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah. Talk about South Carolina. Redshirt freshman named the starter. We were kind of watching Robbie Ashford to see where he would land. I know the game he played here a couple of years ago when he started up in Tuscaloosa. Played pretty well. But what do we know about this quarterback situation at South Carolina?
I think he rushed 121 yards in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Now, look, the media in South Carolina, you've dealt with some of these folks before.
Yeah.
They got a lot of new guys, too. It was a totally manufactured quarterback battle. If you covered Shane Beamer for any amount of time, he will, when you ask him about a starter, a guy that's going to start, he'll immediately mention the 4th-string guy and talk about competition. That's a core value of his program. It's something he stresses all the time. He's not going to sit there and put a guy on a pedestal ever. He named Lenore Sellers the starting quarterback at the end of spring, and it's never not been Lenore Sellers. It's always been Lenore Sellers. Now, Robbie Ashford has had a pretty good fall camp and had a pretty good spring. He's throwing it better. And we all know he can run, and he's big, and he's old, and a good asset for the program. I think Ashford will play some in special packages and, in red zone, things like that. And I think if Lenore has to go out, the Gamecocks can compete with Robbie Ashford in there. But there's never been a battle. I mean, there's never been a meeting where they're like, hey, guys, should we maybe start Robbie? No, it's never been that way. Because Lenore Sellers is a special talent. I mean, Beamer said this the other day when they was asked about Sellers. 6'4", 240, 22 miles an hour on the catapult system. 22 miles an hour is flying.
Yeah.
On the catapult system. And he's 240 pounds and 6'4". So, I don't know, man. Sometimes young quarterbacks, no matter how physically gifted they are, they have an up and down year in this league, and I expect some ups and downs. But I think you watched Lenore Sellers this year, and they're coming to Tuscaloosa. I think you're going to be pretty impressed with what he brings to the table.
Yeah, that.
I don't really have anything else. That's really Ohio State is picked. I guess I better go to ACC. Clemson is picked over Florida State. Florida State's playing. I'm trying to get something. Playing Georgia Tech. Your feelings on the Georgia Tech Florida State game?
I'm thinking Georgia Tech to cover.
I think it's 11.
And Florida State's another one of those we all just assume things because because they've been so good in the portal. And I'll mention this. So was Musselman at Arkansas in basketball. And then he got a batch. He got a batch that wasn't good and all kinds of problems. And now he's the coach at USC.
Yeah,
that's
big hair.
Life comes at you fast.
Yeah.
And Florida State got a lot of big names out of the portal, and everybody just assumes, right? They lost a ton of players last year off that team that went undefeated. They lost DJ Ungaloa. How is he going to be? I mean, he wasn't that good at Clemson. They went out to Oregon State, and this Georgia Tech team, Brent Pry, I think they finally found their coach. I think they finally found their guy that understands the place, that understands what the glory years look like at Georgia Tech, that understands there's no excuse for that program not to be competitive in the ACC, and you don't have to run triple option to do it. And you look at what they did last year with a roster that was kind of so-so. Everybody's back. They got another recruiting class in there. Haynes King remember Jimbo Fisher, who has not forgotten how to coach quarterbacks, loved Haynes King at Texas A&M. Haynes just struggled after an injury, transferred, whatever. He's their quarterback. It's over all the way over in Ireland. There's not a soul on earth that thinks Tech's even going to be competitive. This is what upsets happen. When you have a team that hasn't maybe gelled yet like FSU, you're way over across the pond, you're playing a team at Georgia Tech, you feel like you should be, you're a double-digit favorite. You went undefeated last year until the bowl game. To me, it just screams close game, probably a defensive struggle, and Tech will cover that 11.5.
I need you to do me a favor, JC. Will you tell Steve Spurrier that it's Kalen DeBoer, not Jalen DeBoer? He was on a podcast yesterday, and he picked Alabama to win, and twice called him Jalen DeBoer, and also said, something about the Alabama-Texas game, and they don't even play. I was trying to tell Dad, I used to speak with Coach Spurrier at the Gamecock clubs. They'd always send the assistant basketball coach. Let's just say he's not Lou Holtz behind the microphone. He does not do a lot of preparation for his. Go ahead.
Well, no. I mean, like, you talk to him about a game he coached in, he can remember every play. Now, I don't know about now. I hadn't listened to him in a while, but I don't think he did much looking at schedules and stuff like that. I think he just gut feeling. Yeah. Kind of like when he used to vote in the coaches poll. He's like, well, I don't really care. Just put Duke 25th. I always do it every year. They got mad at him for putting Duke 25th. But no, I think he's got a point about Alabama. I think the media, which I don't mean to harp on it, guys. It's been driving me crazy all season. I think that this is 1 year. I'm just ready for the games to start. People just need to shut up. Yeah. Let's just quit writing. And just let's talk about the games. It's probably because of all the changes and stuff. But, I think that it's fashionable in the media to pick Alabama 5th in the SEC. Because, oh, my God, we got to have Texas up there. Oh, my God, we got to have Ole Miss, even though some people are now saying they're overrated. Oh, my God, Georgia's – Paul Feinbaum saying that Georgia has overtaken Alabama as the premier program in college football. I just don't know about that. No offense to Paul. When did Georgia beat Alabama in the states of Georgia or the state of Alabama the last 10 years?
Yeah,
never.
I think
Alabama's won 7 out of the last 10 Southeastern Conference championships. Okay, and yes, I don't think you just replace Nick Saban, no matter how good Kalen DeBoer is. It's a different voice, different set of motivations, different game day plan. I think the players like Jalen Milroe are leaders. They're going to show leadership, and Alabama will be fine. But, you kind of look at some of these other schools, like this Georgia-Clemson game coming up. Georgia's a 10, 12-point favorite. I'm sitting there listening to Kirby Smart the other day. They've had a lot of – they're not very healthy right now. And they had to replace a ton of players again. Like Saban used to say, you just don't poop out a player. And I don't care how good you recruit. I think Georgia's got a fantastic roster. I think you got to give them credit for 2 national championships. I think, who is trending toward being the best program in the country right now? Probably Georgia, along with Ohio State. But, Alabama, it's Alabama's until somebody takes it from them, right? And that means sustained success, and Alabama's got to take a step back. And I'm kind of with Spurrier. I think a lot of people are just assuming a lot of things. Everybody has their favorites. And, when you have your favorites, and then you got to throw the assuming teams in there like your Oklahomas and Georgias and, we got to have them, Texas, whatever. Then all of a sudden, you have good teams getting picked ninth in the SEC.
Yeah.
So I I agree with Spurrier on that. I do wish he'd have maybe glanced at the schedule because there's a lot of assuming that Bama's going to play. And I've heard it from other people too, Bama and Texas, and I'm like, they don't play. Texas plays Georgia, but they don't play Alabama.
Lastly, JC, Courtney Morgan came with Kalen DeBoer when he came for the press conference. He got off the plane. And he's his general manager, which that's a new title for me in college football, and maybe people are going to start doing it now. So he kind of runs all the recruiting, I guess maybe / recruiting coordinator. A lot of ties out west. They've mopped up out west getting guys. USC comes after him. He gets a $325,000 raise. Or now we're going to see all these SEC teams now go to general managers, and the price has been set. Now it's at $825,000. JC.
I mean, if I'm Kalen DeBoer, that's my right hand man in recruiting.
Yep.
You have to recruit in the SEC. I mean, you can get into is it smart to put that much emphasis on the West Coast when you're in the Central Time Zone and in the Deep South? But he did a great job putting a roster together at Washington. I understand SC. I wouldn't touch that situation at SC with a 10-foot pole, though, because I'm not saying Lincoln Riley will be fired, but things are not great, and then there's a lot of unknown about them right now. And plus, they offered him 7 figures to come to SC, right? Let's do if you do the math on the taxes, he probably was going to have to take a pay cut to go out there and live. And so I get it. And look, I'm always happy for anybody in that position because I know a lot of folks that do that job, and it's a hard job, and it's a thankless job in a lot of ways. So getting credit and getting money, I think is fine. As far as general manager thing, Lane Kiffin started that Ole Miss. I think Matt Lindsay was his general manager. And I think Florida State has a general manager. They're basically recruiting guys that get that title now with the transfer portal and everything like that. They're just personnel. It's all about personnel, and you get that title, general manager, that looks good, and you kind of run the recruiting and the talent acquisition part of it. That's portal. That's you're recruiting out of high schools, junior colleges, however. So good move by Alabama and Kalen DeBoer, I think, keeping him there. Like I said, I don't know that even if – I think that raise is more than fair considering the money at SC would have probably been less net money. And you're walking into a situation where you don't know, what the future really holds. I think DeBoer has got stability at Alabama here for at least the foreseeable future. So, good move by them. He's a really good at his job. It's certainly an important part of what they want to do in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. JC, we'll let you get out. I agree with you. I'm happy the games are starting. So next week we can actually have you break down the games, because Dad and I don't know what we're talking about. So we wait for you on Thursday to break them down for us. So tell everybody where they can find you.
All right. Everybody needs to go to the Apple Store, App Store, or Google Play and download the Chief Sports Network app. That's where you can find the JC and Morgan podcast. Had a great episode with Tom Luganbill. We talked college football. Lugs is working for ACC Network now. He had a lot to say about the ACC and national college football. And we also decided, what if we were going to recast and reboot Jaws, the movie? Who would we cast in Jaws? And the answers were fantastic. So we love talking movies there too. But yeah, download the Chief Sports Network app. It's free. Doesn't cost you a dime. head on over. You can get it for iPad, iPhone, and your Android as well. And lots of content there.
Look out for the Blue Plate Special, JC. Get rich this weekend. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
I'm fired up. See you guys.
See you. All right, we'll take the break here. We got app message coming in. We'll read that. We get back. Guy up in Sheffield dealing with having to bury his 97-year-old mother.
Sheffield, across the river from my hometown.
Yep. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM, WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We do have some long-term road construction, 15th Street at 2nd Avenue. Also, there is some long-term road construction happening, McFarland Boulevard, both eastbound and westbound, between Jack Warner Parkway and Lurleen B. Wallace Boulevard. There's some bridge work, 59 westbound between McFarland and the Western Bypass. And
shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The chance of a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will stay dry. The high today 88, the low tonight 67. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Did you miss any episode on Tide 100.9? Don't worry. All of our shows can be found on Spotify and Apple Music and on demand on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, welcome back. We'll get right here at the top of the hour break. We want to thank Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, then you certainly don't want the great sponsor on Inside Locker. Yeah, Ricky up in Sheffield. I believe he's in Sheffield. Loyal listener. Morning, love the show. I will be burying my 97-year-old mom this morning. She was a Texas A&M grad. She made a great Tide fan. She loved to say roll Tide. She's happy now and back with Dad, celebrating her up here in Sheffield this morning. So, Ricky, our thoughts and prayers are with you as you bury your 97-year-old mom. But we converted him, I guess we have, or somebody has, but he listens every day, and Ricky is a Tide fan now. Sheffield, that's an Alabama area, right? That North Alabama's Alabama.
Well, sure it is. Sheffield, Tuscumbia, the Tri-Cities.
Yeah, Montgomery's Auburn.
Shows in there now.
Montgomery's Auburn, though, right?
Montgomery is what?
Auburn. That's an Auburn town, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. Birmingham's an Alabama town. Mobile's an Alabama town.
Where's another Auburn town? Is there another Auburn town in the state?
Well, the biggest one's Montgomery. Of course, Auburn's got a lot of fans. Both places I mentioned, probably not as big as Alabama's. Not because they're Auburn. That's the facts. Because I've kept up with it pretty close. I'm sure there's a lot of smaller towns that are more Auburn fans than they are Alabama.
Yeah.
That we don't mention. Huntsville has now become probably the second leading city in the state of Alabama, maybe even ahead of Birmingham. So it's a Duke mixture of people up there who are not either Auburn or Alabama because they moved in because of the Arsenal, they moved in from out of town, and they're whoever they moved in from they're the fans of that team. So
yeah,
but Alabama generally has, and Auburn does too. A lot of fans in Huntsville.
All right, we'll take this top of the hour break. Coach Switzer will join us at 8:15. We'll find out that Airbnb is rented for the Alabama game when Alabama travels up to Norman, Oklahoma. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In news from the NFL, the Denver Broncos named Bo Nix as their starting quarterback. He joins Caleb Williams of the Bears and Jaden Daniels of the Commanders as rookie quarterbacks who were first-round picks and named starters for the season opener. In baseball games of note, Yankees get a pair of Aaron Judge home runs, numbers 46 and 47 that leads the major leagues. Juan Soto hit his 36th home run of the year. That's a new career high. He drove in 5 as the Yankees roll over the Guardians 8-1. New York reclaims first place in the AL East. They're a half game up on Baltimore. The Orioles lost to the Mets 4-3. The Mets move move a game in that back of Atlanta for the final wildcard spot in the National League, with the Braves losing to the NL East, leading Phillies 3-2. Twins over the Padres 11-4 in a battle of wildcard teams. San Diego falls 4 games back of LA in the NL West race.
Experience the wow factor. Contact Shoot Masonry and Specialties at 205-887-3807 today and unleash your home's full potential.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Allstate Insurance agent Andrew Kniffer. Andrew is my agent. Let him become yours out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Look for home, life, auto, whatever you need. Andrew knows the area. He's been here since 2002, so a lot of times something will happen. You'll have to file a claim, but he's very helpful in those situations. I just had to add a vehicle to our household and take one off. He took care of that, and within like 2 days I had email with all the new insurance cards. So that's nice to have somebody take great care of you like that. Let him do the same for you. 205-722-9201. All right, Dad, the PGA Tour gets started back today. The BMW will go in Colorado. The top 50 guys are going. Now they're going to cut it to 30. There's a list of guys that are below 30 that, you know, kind of what they need to do. Tommy Fleetwood is at 31. Chris Kirk's at 32. Matt Fitzpatrick, 36. Will Salvatore, good player there, at 37. Then we've talked a lot about Nick Dunlap there at 48. He rose 20 spots based on his play last week to get into this top 50, which puts him in all the signature events for next season. But just your expectation when they're out in Colorado, I know Scott was out there. That golf ball does fly a lot further, so calculating these yardages and all will be critical. Usually, I think your caddy will be a big help in Colorado in a tournament like this.
Yeah, I hope to get the caddy on because he's from Montgomery. He should be good on our show. Yeah, I think you're right. It flies fast out there, and I think the biggest thing. I don't want to take anything off of this, but I think the biggest thing is getting into the 50. And if you got into the 50, then you got not honored, but the opportunity to play in all the majors next year. That's big. Now getting into the top 30 gives you some advantage, but getting into 50 was, I think, huge. So it'll be interesting to see a lot of guys. We're interested to see if Nick gets Rookie of the Year, which he probably has a great shot to do. So really, it's going to be interesting starting today, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think Nick and then the other rookie, they go off last today. It says 12:40, so I'm assuming that's 12:40 Central Time, and they will get started early this morning.
They may be an hour behind us, son.
Yeah, I'm assuming that these times are central. Since I'm looking, but I don't know. They say got guys teeing off this morning at 8:25. So I would assume that might be. I don't know what that'd be out in Colorado, but I'm sure it'd be on the Golf Channel there. All right, Chase, let's get Coach Sheridan, the offensive coordinator, had probably his last press conference yesterday. Let the defensive guys go on Tuesday. I think those guys went yesterday. Let's just hear what Coach Sheridan's thoughts were on the scrimmage at Bryant-Denny Stadium last Saturday.
You know, some inconsistencies. I thought there were some great plays. I thought there was a lot of, guys just trying to play each and every snap as hard as they could, despite what, maybe had happened previously. We overcame a couple of tough situations. Some, the defense did a great job. And so I was proud of some of the 1-0 mindset that I thought our guys displayed in some challenging situations where we were able to overcome them. And yet I still think there's a lot of room for growth to clean up some of the errors, and certainly give the defense a lot of credit for causing issues, both, personnel-wise. There's a lot of really good players on defense, and certainly schematically with Kane and his staff. And so there's lots to build on, lots to correct. I thought it was competitive, as all the scrimmages have been since I've been here. And, probably each side of the ball wishes certain things, you did a little bit better, but I think collectively as a team it's been very competitive. I thought it was a very physical scrimmage. I thought the guys hit. And so, it's been a good couple weeks of camp and, building towards the first game.
Well, I think go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one of the things Coach Saban always talked about when you have the talent at Alabama, practice is probably you're going against a guy that's probably better than the guy you're going to go against in the game, especially here against Western Kentucky. So they'll probably see that as they get to next Saturday against Western Kentucky. Go ahead.
I think these guys early in the year are very careful not to mention names.
Yeah.
Not to mention that Joe and Jack are the running backs, or of course Jalen we all know, but where people stand, I think they're very careful not to do that early in the year. Now it's going to bring itself out when you start the game somewhat, but I think they're trying to keep everybody on the same page. I think you're trying. People listen to radio shows. If they don't listen to it, their girlfriend listened to it. They said they didn't call your name. And so I think they're smart in talking about the team overall, bragging on the defense. If you're the offensive coordinator, bragging on the defense, saying that your team, your side of the ball had some work to do. I think they do it in the right way.
How important is player leadership?
Oh, big.
Yeah,
it's huge. And I think starting into the season, you would like to have your team fairly happy. Now, there are going to be some disgruntled ones after the first game, some disappointments. After the second one, that disgruntled guy after the first one gets even deeper. But I think knowing who your leaders are, and the 4 captains have been named, so those are your leaders. And I think it's good to get 4 captains out there that the coaches wanted. It wasn't a vote of the players, want to understand. So
that's different. Coach Saban didn't name the captain until after the season.
Yeah.
Now they're naming them. All right, let's go to the last clip before we get to Coach Switzer. Clip 5. I want to hear what Coach Sheridan said about Milroe's development as a leader. I agree with that. I think you got to have player leadership, and this has got to be one of the best leaders on the team, I'm sure.
I think he's just I can't speak to how he was previously. We've only been here for as long as we have, so I just continue to see him just be more and more comfortable in who he is, and being genuine and authentic to who he is. And I think his teammates respect that. They know how hard he works. He's as hard of a working player that I've ever been around. I mean, he's a completely committed and devoted student athlete in all areas, and so I think his teammates respect that. And I think he's becoming more and more comfortable, even in our time here, of using his voice to encourage, to confront, to demand, because he's certainly putting in the time and the work. And so I think he's done a real nice job of that, and we're going to need that, as we continue, both him and Tyler being, leaders on that side of on our side of the ball, them doing a good job leading that group. They've been awesome to this.
All right, and what a nice luxury when you first take a job, Dad, to have a leader like Jalen Milroe. That's got to be nice, right?
Yeah, I think so. You hear Jalen advertising for different people. You hear him, not away from the football field. The improvement he's made and things that he says and would like to do. And I think he's become a guy who, let's see how he does, to a guy that is ready to play. And I've already said that I think there's going to be a lot of downfield passing game. His ability to get loose from the defense if they pressure him and throw it downfield or run it downfield. And I think that's the way Coach wants to play. He wants to play wide open, and I think they will.
Yeah. All right, we'll take the break here. We'll try to track now Coach Barry Switzer. We'll find out what's going on out in Oklahoma. I always enjoy having Coach on. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have long-term road construction, 15th Street and 2nd Avenue. Also, there's road work. Right lane is blocked, Greensboro Avenue southbound at 26th Street. And there is some long-term road construction, McFarland Boulevard.
Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or check us out online, bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The chance of a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will stay dry. The high today 88, the low tonight 67. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Get right up to the Yellowwood Hotline. They have 12 Big 8 championships. Obviously, it's the Big 12 now, or then 3 national championships at Oklahoma, Super Bowl champion, Coach Barry Switzer. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, Barry. Good morning.
How you doing?
Good morning, Barry. I'm doing good. See, you get a little cooler weather down there. We are up here, too.
Yeah, it's
We've
nice.
been burning up here.
Yeah, it's
sorry to get you up so early, Barry, but everybody's wanting to hear you, so that's what I tried to get them to do.
Well,
How you doing?
I got up, Wimp. I got up to you. You know that. You're the only guy that calls me. You're the only guy you met up this early.
I wonder what you thought about Oklahoma. I guess you thought I would ask that. They must feel like they're okay with a new 6-year contract for their head coach. I don't know if you've even watched them or not, because you do a lot of different things now. Any thoughts on Oklahoma at all?
Yeah, I live right on the campus, Wimp. I'm probably half a mile from the stadium. I'm right across the street from the fraternities and sororities. I built a home here about 25 years ago on the corner of right across from the law school museum. I'm right on campus. I tore down a big old home and bought the land and found it and built a nice place here. So I'm close to everything. And so I don't go to practice, but I'm around over there. And the Switzer Center, I go over there to that facility sometimes to show people. And I walk through there and you never they practice on practice field away from that area, so I never go there. But I walk through the facility over there, and the training room and the weight room and all that, and all those guys know me pretty well. But I don't go around the coaches, and I don't go up in their offices and do all that. I mean, I just avoided that for 30 years.
Everybody's picking. They're picking Texas. I know you don't keep up with. I don't know how much you've kept up with the SEC with Texas down in there, but Texas it felt like has got a little bit easier schedule for them. But everybody's picking them to win it all.
To win the SEC, they're picking Texas.
Texas and Georgia, is to go to the
championship. Yeah, Georgia. I'm sorry. Yeah, Texas and Georgia.
Well, Texas is our big game every year. That's the reason it got me to Oklahoma. In 1966, I came here. The reason I came here is they hadn't beaten Texas ass in 8 years. They had lost 8 straight years to Texas. And by the way, we beat their ass the first year we were here with the same people they lost with.
Did you really?
Yeah. And the next year we went 10-1. We were number 2 in the country, and we lost. We beat Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. So Doug Dickey, Tennessee. So we were that was in '67. So we turned it around just real quick, and but we Oklahoma. It just it really amazes me that Texas is picked to win the SEC, and we play them every year. I think we beat their ass last year. I think, and the last 10 years, I think we beat them 7 times. I think something like that. Check that out.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we can beat Texas from here on because of this damn new rule we got, NIL, which is now it's legal, and so that's what it stands for, NIL. And so now it's true. And what goes around comes around. 50, 60 years ago, recruiting, kids went to school to get an education, and they knew they were going to be there 4 or 5 years, and the families were happy with that. And the kids were too, and those that stayed usually played. And then we went to the 40 limit. Went to 30 limit in 1972 and made freshmen eligible again. And then we cut it down to an aggregate total on the team, and now we're where we are, free agency, and like the pros. So it's changed the whole. It just changed college football totally. I understand why Nick Saban got out. I wouldn't want to coach today either. I wouldn't want some 18-year-old kids got an agent walk in my office, tell me what they're going to pay me to keep me from being out of the portal next year, getting in the portal, and it just irks me to think that would happen. And but that day is gone, and kids don't care about education anymore. I guarantee you, kids don't graduate today like they did years ago.
Another thing, Barry, you may not keep up with it much, but Stanford, people like Stanford are going to the ACC over to all the way to the East Coast, from one coast to the other.
Oh, yeah, they're traveling all over the country. It's like pro teams. You don't get back to 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I've done that in pro football with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you fly all over the damn country, and like college. When we were in the Big 8 conference, we were all connected together, state-wise, border-wise. And actually, Arkansas should have been in the Big 8 instead of the SEC. And that would help them more so they recruit even. But, if I got the best players out of Texas, I could compete with anyone. And that's what I did when I was coaching in the 70s. I was doing the right thing. I was recruiting the black athlete when no one else was. And I dominated in the 70s because of that. We won more football games than anybody and won national championships back to back and just wore everybody out. But that's because I got the best players. And now I can't do that. But NIL, I don't know if Oklahoma can get a player out of Texas. Texas got more money, more people. They got 35 million people. We got 3.5 million people in this state. And they get more corporations, more wealthy people, more people that can support them financially. And I just don't know if we can beat Texas ass again because of that. This damn new system we have.
Coach, I know you're familiar with the SEC. It's a grind. A lot of great defense, a lot of great defensive linemen. They can get them.
That's the difference.
Yeah, in this league. Just talk about what you think Oklahoma will see on a week in and week out basis.
I said it'd be like playing Texas every weekend. Yeah. We got to get ready for that. There's not many give-me's. There's no give-me's in it. You used to think maybe Vanderbilt was a give-me. Hell, you got to get ready to play them, too. You can't take anyone for just granted you can beat their ass. But I've always known that the physicalness of SEC is something that we didn't have in our league, and no one has. And the big linemen that can squat down and run, the big athletes. And people ask me, why is it? I said, it's diversity. Yeah. And what do you mean? I said, it's diversity. I said, look at Oklahoma. We got 6% black population. Kansas got 0. Nebraska about 2 or 3. Then you look down Mississippi. You look at Louisiana. You look at Alabama, Florida, all across there. It's a hell of a lot of difference. And so it's just you look at this. Look at the draft. When you look at the draft, this first, second, third round of the draft, where all the linemen go? They're out of the SEC. Yeah, going to pro football, and it's always been a guy that can squat down from tackle to tackle on both sides of the ball and play. And everybody can get skill guys. You can get quarterbacks. Everybody can get a guy who can throw football. There's a bunch of receivers out there, and the guys that can run. Everybody can get a running back, but you don't get those linemen. They're the key. Yeah. And so That's we're it's going to be interesting. We're an underdog. Vegas, of course, the Vegas starts the line off at this every year, but we're underdog in every SEC game we play. You look at the line, we're just an underdog. We're going to see how they set. Hope that a few people will start betting on that and start a true line. But I just don't know if we can play in that league. It would be interesting to see how we do, and maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But
when you went to the pros and did such a great job with Dallas, was it a lot different for you? Just every day?
No, let me tell you, people ask me that all the time. When at college, I'd rather coach college than pro football. Pro football is about just coaching football. I spent more time with kids here off the field than I did at college than I ever did on the field. You were in the chow hall together, or in the dorm. My office is open. They come in there anytime I want to talk to them. Hell, pro football, they come at 7 in the morning. They go in there and get taped. They go to their first meeting rooms. They break down to their coaches, and then they look at tape film. We get ready for a noon walkthrough. Then we practice in the afternoon, and they're out of there at 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. And I hope you don't see them again. And it's just football. And they're around the coaches. I have a meeting with them. The big meeting everybody meets is on Wednesday. I talk with the whole team. Then we look at the special teams, and everybody is in the room there. And you got Emmett and Troy and Michael who aren't on special teams, but they're looking at special teams. And that's where you can talk to everybody and point out a lot of things, and everybody knows how everybody's playing. I've had Michael, you put the laser on cover 1, cover 2, and cover 3, now right and left down on kickoff coverage. And I've had Michael stand up in the damn room with the lights out, all of a sudden say, "Coach, cut his ass. He'll get us beat." Well, hell, we knew we were already going to cut him because we've already looked at the film and graded it a couple of times. But things like that happen. And players aren't afraid to say it. They want the best out of everybody. They want them to compete just like they do, the 53 guys that are on the team. And it's all about football and all about winning, all about getting the Super Bowl. That's the goal. And if you don't get there, it hasn't been as good a season. It hasn't been a good season when you don't do that. So
we're talking with Coach Barry Switzer. Coach, I've always wondered, and you've coached obviously and been very successful in NFL and in college football. What makes it so difficult for the NFL guys to evaluate quarterbacks and who to draft? It seems like they miss a lot on quarterbacks there. Well, why is that so difficult?
I haven't really studied that enough to know to really comment on that. Barry, I don't. They say they miss on them. They shouldn't. They get a chance to work them out. They work every damn one of them out, and they really shouldn't. And I'm sure that they have. They missed on a bunch of them, but and they find a bunch too. There's a lot of guys out there that can play that they don't take and that end up playing. But it's all about talent, and pro football is about getting the best players, and they do a pretty damn good job of getting those players because they go everywhere. If you're worth a damn, they're going to find you. I mean, if you got talent to play the game, I don't care what school you're at, Division II, whatever, they'll find you if you're worth a damn.
Talk about what I know. Following you at Oklahoma would have been very difficult. Following Coach Bryant here was difficult. Now following Coach Saban for Coach DeBoer, he seems to have the right personality to do it. But how difficult is that following a legend?
Well, I didn't have to do that here. I came here with Jim McKenzie from Arkansas in 1966, and we took over the program, turned it around very quickly. Then Jim died of a heart attack. Jim played for Coach Bryant. I had Pat James. You all know Pat James.
Oh yeah, Pat passed away. I knew
Pat and I and Jim were all together here at Oklahoma, and that's one of the reasons we turned it around pretty good because we had Coach Bryant and coached both Pat and Jim, so we had that attitude and coached that way. And these guys, it was a shock to them, but they survived it, and then we turned the program around and hurried and won. I got I was an offensive coordinator and assistant head coach, and when Chuck went to pro football, I got the job here. Chuck wanted me to go with him pro. I didn't want to go. I wanted this job here, and I got it and had a great run with it. And of course, I had, like you said, 12. I've coached 16 years. How long did Nick coach at Alabama?
17 years.
17 years. That's how long Stoops coached here. Yeah. 17. I coached 16 years. Of course, I have the best winning percentage. Of course, they play more games today. Coaches get to play more games. We only played 10 or 11 the most when I was coaching, and but I have the best winning percentage. Not only here at the Cowboys too. It shocked me too. I had the best winning percentage at the Cowboys, and also at Oklahoma. And but I look at that and I say, well, I didn't follow anybody that I had to prove it. And Stoops came in here and didn't have to either. He came in here after I left in the start of the 90s. I left, got out after 16 years. The next 10 years, we weren't worth a damn. It was Oklahoma was down, and the coaches they went through hired Snellenberger. These guys, they couldn't get it done, and then they brought Stoops in. We finally got a coach in here that could recruit and coach and put a staff together, and they had a great run. And then Stoops got out, and we had the guy from California. What was his name?
Yeah, Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley,
the offensive coordinator. I liked Lincoln. He's really a good offensive coordinator, and he recruits quarterbacks and does a hell of a job with it because he's the head. It's a tremendous advantage in recruiting quarterbacks because he's the head coach, he's the offensive coordinator, he coaches the quarterbacks, he works with them, and they talk about what they like to throw best, and they game plan together. So it's a tremendous advantage for him to look at the quarterbacks he recruited. He coached Baker Mayfield, number 1 pick. He coached Kyler Murray, number 1 pick. He number 1 pick just went to from. That was here at Oklahoma that transferred with him. When he left, he took the damn kid, Caleb Williams, to California with him, SC. Well, Caleb was here at Oklahoma. And the reason we had him was Lincoln Riley recruited him.
Yeah.
So we would have had a run at 3 straight number 1 quarterbacks picks in the draft. Why? Lincoln Riley recruited him and worked with him, coached him. So, he had... And I think he's a good coach. He got a lot of bad blood here. I think one reason Lincoln left because he wasn't in the decision to go to the SEC. They didn't tell him about it. All of a sudden, they just tell him after they've already made the decision to come in. We're in the SEC next year, and so he said, "My ass is out of here."
I'm going to L.A.
And that's what they offered him.
Yeah.
Well, before you leave us today, are you doing anything at all, or are you just enjoying life?
I do a lot because I really am involved in a lot of LLCs that have partners that are smart, that know what we're doing, and I open doors for people. I'm a door opener, but basically all you call me. I got a business degree at Arkansas, but I've coached all my damn life, and I've learned a lot about what we do, but I'm not the guy that makes, the guy that can really know the nuts and bolts of all the things that we do. I'm in hydroponic farming. I fly herbs in from Bogota, Colombia. Look at that. Think about that.
It's great.
FedEx and on planes. I put them in boxes that are refrigerated and cooled and stuff that bring these herbs and hell, they bring more flowers in from Colombia than they do at any place in the United States. But it's really interesting, the things that I've gotten into. I get a lot of deals brought to me. I got a smart guy that I give them to, that he studies them. He looks at them and he says, this is something maybe we ought to look at and do. And, I base it all off the people I put around me. Still, I can coach them.
Yeah.
You got to have good players. You got to have good coaches around you. You don't do it by yourself.
You said you had an Airbnb. Is that rented for the Alabama game? I'm sure Alabama fans would want to rent that.
You bet. Yeah, the Alabama fans want it. They have it for about $4,000 or $5,000.
I'm sure they'd do it.
They got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
How many bedrooms you got there, Coach?
I think it's going to advertise
bedrooms.
on our show.
I got 8 televisions, 4 bedrooms. I call it the Switzer Pigskin Palace.
Oh, they'll
and you
pay
walk in there, you
You easy get
and they got
$5 grand
pictures
for that.
on the wall.
Oh,
yeah, we got pictures on the wall. All my great players, all my Heisman Trophy winners, all the. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Everybody's been there said they love it. They said it's
So
great.
is it open for the Alabama game?
3/4 of an acre, huh?
The Alabama game's the 23rd of November. Is it open that time?
I doubt it. I don't run that now. I have someone else.
Okay.
They're scheduling for 25 right now. 24 is filled up.
Double it for that game. You'll get it. So.
Yeah. Hell, we play Alabama here this year.
That's what I'm saying. They're coming this year. So if it's not rented, the Alabama fans will pay whatever. Time.
Hell, they told us what we had to do to increase we had to thicken our runway and lengthen our runway here at Westheimer for all the damn big ass private jets to come in.
Yeah.
So we're having to meet a lot of criteria to be in the SEC. So it's it's laughable, but it really is. Things that we have to do, but no, I'm interested to see how we'll do. You know, really, I know our kids compete and play hard; they'll do that, and we've got some good players. Now, I'm not making them say that we can't win. Yeah, we got guys over there that are pretty good. They got out of the portal, and they got some kids out of Texas, and we recruit pretty good nationally, and so we. But getting kids out of the SEC, I don't see us coming down to Alabama, Mississippi, LSU. I mean, down Louisiana. Hey, I recruited some of the great players that played for me out of Louisiana back when Charlie Mack.
Nick Saban took they got great players in Louisiana. Yeah.
I got St. Aug High School. I rate that school the best players because I was there every year. My coaches were in there every year. I got to know all those Otis Washington, Eddie Flint, the basketball coach, all those guys. They would take me to the Autocrat Club. I'd go down to the clubs with them and the quarters, Via Carre. I had the best time, food, eating, and recruiting down there and getting the players.
Yeah,
and it's because no one else was recruiting them. I was the only one recruiting.
Yeah. Well, be sure to tell Porter hello for me, for Barry and I.
Yeah.
And, you betcha. And you know what? He is a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
I really enjoy Porter Moser. I hope we can keep him. I hope that, we don't have great facilities at all. We're building a new basketball facility here.
Yeah.
And that'll help. But you still got to get players, and I just don't know if you got the money to buy these damn players. I tell them, no, didn't it? Don't know if you got enough money to buy players today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate so much you being on, Barry. I promise I won't get you up this early anymore.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you.
All right, I'm going to hold you to it, Wimp.
He'll call you. Thank you, Coach.
Okay, take care, buddy.
Yeah, you will.
All right.
All right, two-time Super Bowl champion. One-time Super Bowl champion. The Dallas Cowboys ain't done crap since he left either. All right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank. Then we're going to take the break, and you got to get your Blue Plate special out there brought to you by Chuck Norwood, the Chuck Norwood team. Go to chucknorwood.com. You're looking to buy or sell down in the Orange Beach, Gulf Shores area, 251-948-1212. Let's tell them about Bryant Bank. We'll get back and get the Blue Plate special out.
Well, when you talk about Bryant Bank, you talk about a bank with unbeatable service. They're close to home for people that listen to our show. You'll get great results from them if you need so. You can enjoy banking online, which around the clock, which will give you the freedom and really the flexibility to sort of bank the way you want to. They'll be darn sure that the fraud attempts that try to get money out of everybody's bank is taken care of. I think you'll enjoy the banker as well as the bank. They do a lot for the cities that they work in. Have a bank in. So I'll go by Bryant Bank and tell them you heard on Inside the Locker Room and visit with them and let me know so I can talk about it a little bit on the radio. But Bryant Bank, the very, very best.
All right, we get back. We'll figure out where you're going with the Blue Plate special. Get you out of the studying room. He's been studying down in the basement, Chase. We'll get him out of the basement. You got beakers down there, smoke going. He's got a formula, and nobody knows the formula, so we'll figure it out when we get back. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have long-term road construction, 15th Street at 2nd Avenue. Also road work, right lane is blocked, Greensboro Avenue southbound at 26th Street. And we have long-term road construction, McFarland Boulevard, both eastbound.
Changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Want to jump into any of the shows? Call Tide 100.9 right now at 205-342-9904.
Will somebody answer that damn phone?
That's 205-342-9904.
Welcome back to Inside Locker. Tuscaloosa Toyota. Go to the website, TuscaloosaToyota.com. Look at all the new inventory, the pre-owned inventory. You can schedule a service, rent a Toyota right there at the website. But go to TuscaloosaToyota.com or swing by Skyline Boulevard. A lot of great options out there at Tuscaloosa Toyota. Justin and David will take great care of you. All right, brought to you by the Chuck Norwood team. Go to chucknorwood.com. Dad, I am looking here. I know this makes you mad. I don't know. I don't even know if this is a game you're going. It looks like that Florida State line has dropped to 10.5 there. So there's a lot of money pouring in on Georgia Tech. You got Montana State, New Mexico, SMU, Nevada. Not a lot of games to pick from this weekend. So
what about Delaware State and Hawaii?
Delaware State, Hawaii, but 40? I don't see. Yeah, there's a line on that of 40.
Yeah.
There. So Hawaii is a 40-point favorite.
You got to take a team, don't you? That gets 40, don't you?
Right. That's a lot of points. But you normally don't take the points. So if you go with the points this year, that'll be different for you.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Delaware State and Hawaii. I came close to doing that, but, I can't keep up with it because it's going to be a night game.
That game's going to kick at 10:59.
11 o'clock. About 11 o'clock. So as bad as I wanted to take that 40, I was a little bit afraid to. That's Florida State, Georgia Tech. Barry's right. That thing line has gone back and forth. You can't, it's the biggest game. Everybody watches it, and I can't afford not to give you a blue plate on it, but I did. I'm not giving you a Georgia Tech, Florida State.
I figured.
So you can forget that because I did the quarterback at Georgia, at Florida State's a little bit unknown, not DJ. Unknown, yeah. Not sure how he's going to play. Georgia Tech's got a good coach. 10.5. It's anybody's game. When I'm trying to bet, I don't want anybody's game. Anybody's going to win. I need somebody that's going to win. So I didn't fool it. Now, how about this one? New Mexico 12.5, and against Montana State. And one of the other things that really helped on this thing was that Doug Bell told us that Montana State, his son had played against him one time.
Oh, boy.
And Montana State is loaded. And you have to have some confidence in Doug because, he can tell you what Montana State's like, because I don't know. New Mexico's got a new coach. They're playing at home. Mm-hmm. And they only have him to give 12.5 points.
Yeah.
So I didn't pick them. I decided I wasn't going to go with Doug Bell. I thought about it a lot.
Smart move.
Doug dumber than a Red Rock.
Yes.
So I decided to go with Nevada and SMU.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. It was 27.5. It's already gone down to 25. Now, get this one. Here's my theory on it. I think from studying it that SMU is going to score 5 touchdowns. The last time I looked, 5 times 7 is 35. I learned that in math.
If you don't miss an extra point, that's 35.
Oh, yeah. 35. It's 35, generally speaking, if you don't miss an extra point. So SMU is better on defense than they were last year, and they were pretty good. They were pretty good last year. Pretty darn good. I don't know that much about Nevada. I tried to figure them out, did everything I could to figure them out. They're hard to figure. But even if they score 7, we can still win with 25, with giving them just 25. if in fact SMU does what I say I think they can do. And I think in a game they can score 2 or 3 touchdowns in the first half, maybe a couple, maybe 3, and then a couple. They got more depth than Nevada. Maybe really turned it on in the second half. But I give them scoring 35 points. Now, if I'm wrong on that, then I'm going to lose.
You got a lot of faith in SMU's defense.
So SMU's defense good.
Is it?
Yeah, it's very good. SMU's defense is better this year than it was last year, according to all these guys. And looking at it, I think it is. So I would say even if I give up a touchdown, I'm still going to win. Now, if I give up 10, then we've got a tie. So I just think of the 4, they were very hard to pick from, really difficult. I got you talk about studying Florida State and Georgia Tech. I studied them up and down. I got 15 answers from 15 different answers from 15 different people. So I didn't know who to pick. If I felt like Georgia Tech might beat the line. JC did. He knows a lot more about it than I do, but I wasn't sure. And, of course, you're not sure of any of those. And you can't go with Delaware State. That's no game. You don't know.
No.
And Montana State going into New Mexico, that's a decent game to select, I guess. Montana State is good. As good as Doug said to her, probably not. But so I felt like of the 4, I only had 4 to pick from, folks.
Yeah.
Of the 4, I thought SMU against Nevada was the best deal. I felt like the SMU could score 35 points. If it can't, then I'll lose.
All right, so that game will be on, guys, if you're going to watch it, 7 o'clock. So it'll give you time to settle in. 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. So you need to make sure you have that network at home. All right, so it's SMU minus 25 versus Nevada on the road 25.
Yeah, now you may want to go against me. You may want to say that I did wrong and take Nevada.
They can decide that.
Yeah. So think about what just because I said that doesn't mean it's correct. I try to get them correct for you.
Sure.
But don't also if you feel like that's 25 points is too many, then get on your tablet, study SMU. Get on your tablet, study Nebraska, and come to a conclusion.
All right, that's brought to you by Chuck Norwood and the Chuck Norwood Remix Realty Team. We'll get that tweeted out, and we'll have our fingers crossed to week 0. So it's an exhibition anyway, so we'll see what happens. All right, we got a couple phone calls coming in. Let's take a break. We'll get to Cowboy. We got Digger as well. You just Tide 100.9 is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have long-term road construction, 15th Street at 2nd Avenue. Also road work, right lane is blocked, Greensboro Avenue southbound at 26th Street. And we have long-term road construction, McFarland Boulevard, both.
Code BETTER for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUME deodorant.com. Code BETTER to save 15% today.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partially sunny today. The chance of a few isolated showers this afternoon or this evening. Many places will stay dry. The high today 88. The low tonight 67. For tomorrow and Saturday, the sky sunny both days. Highs around 90. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back. All right, we got 3 calls here. We don't have about 3 minutes, so each one of you going to get a minute. All right, right here first, go to the Yellowwood Hotline. What's up, Cowboy?
How you doing, Barry?
Hey, buddy.
Well, I was hearing Coach talk about his blue plates, and I was saying to myself, the SMU over Nevada, and dadgummit, he went right into it. So that's awesome, Coach. I'm with you, baby.
Are you agreeing with him? You agreeing with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for once in my life, I'm agreeing with Coach Sanderson.
There you go.
I might be the worst mistake ever made.
Do you don't like Doug?
Yeah,
You're not kin to Doug Bell, are you?
No, sir.
Okay,
no,
good.
Sir.
Good.
Yeah, Nevada had the coaching change, SMU, they're kind of high on what they're doing. I would think, they got a good defense. I've heard that from some people out here.
That's a lot of points, Cowboy. That's a lot of points.
Well, I don't know.
We'll see.
You got scared money doesn't make no money. Isn't that the saying?
That's right.
That's right.
There we go, Coach. Hey, one last thing. I heard y'all talking about they're naming permanent captains before the season starts. The only time I can remember that happening at Alabama was under Bill Curry. I kind of like it where they name captains, week by week, keep the leadership of the team going weekly. And then at the end of the year, who always done the best job of leadership gets permanent captains. That's kind of the way the Alabama tradition's been, but we'll see.
Yep. Thank you, Cowboy.
Thanks, Cowboy.
Yep.
All right, I knew this guy would call because Barry Switzer, he had like Oklahoma own Texas, Digger. He said they own y'all, Digger.
9-5-2. What he doesn't tell you, they were on probation half the time. They cheat. He kept blaming Texas for that, and I said, wait a minute, it was SMU that was buying all the players, not Texas. And that's where he was getting all of his recruits. He was getting all his recruits out of Dallas.
Oh.
Yeah, 9-5-2, and he had a losing record against Fred Akers because of Earl Campbell. But, yeah, he was running his mouth, but he doesn't say anything about the probation thing either, does he?
You were fact-checking, weren't you, Digger?
Oh, my goodness. Real quick, Savion Red, look out. He's the running back for Nevada. He might be able to get you a point or two.
All right.
He was from Texas, and he transferred out, but I'm still taking SMU.
Thank you, Digger.
Later.
All right, last word. You got the last word, Tom.
Hey, Barry, Coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Barry Switzer, Bogota, planes from Bogota, Colombia. Wait a minute. You know the U.S. Marshals is all over that.
Oh, boy. It wasn't said on our show. All right, that's it. The blue plate's out. Gary Harris show is next, so keep it locked in. You listen to Todd, 100.9 and 1230 AM, WTBC. It's the home of Alabama Sports. Have a great day, everybody.